Hey everybody, this is Pooka with another game I played on the Pokemon trading card game online. Now this was a very close matchup that I played on our live stream that I've been doing every night. Right away I get a peek at my opponent's opening hand, which has a Magnezone and a Rayquaza Deoxys Legend half. And it's gonna tip me off right off the bat. He's playing a Magnezone Emboar deck. Now if you look at my hand, I have Solosis, Gloom, and a Phanpy, which are the contents of the deck Ross Cawthon used at Worlds to take second place. So right now we're going to have sort of a rematch between the finals of Worlds, which is kind of a neat matchup. I do think I'm at a disadvantage here because Magnezone can just do so much damage, and right off the bat, see my opponent shows a little sign of respect. Says, watched your videos, very informative, so I thank him for that. And yeah, this matchup is very difficult for me because this deck aims to lock your opponent. You know, with Reuniclus and Vileplume, you know, you try to make sure your Pokemon never get knocked out in one hit, and then you just keep moving the damage back with Damage Swap. But in this case, there's Magnezone and Emboar. Emboar keeps attaching energy with Inferno Fandango, and Magnezone lets you do pretty much infinite damage with Lost Burn, so they're always going to be able to knock out your Pokemon in one hit, making this an extremely difficult matchup. How exactly do you win if your opponent keeps knocking your stuff out in one hit when your plan is to not get knocked out ever? So we're going to see a very close game, a very big struggle from my side, and try to see what went through my head during this game and how I would go about trying to win. So right off the bat, we see my opponent starts with a Tepig and a Collector. He gets a Reshiram, a Magnemite, and looks like a Cleffa. And right off the bat, yep, I notice my suspicions are confirmed. It's obviously a Magnezone deck, Magnezone and Emboar. And he puts a Lightning on Reshiram, which right off the bat tips me, oh, he's not retreating to Cleffa. His hand must be pretty good. So I'm kind of scared off the bat. One of the ways I could possibly win this matchup is to get a quick Vileplume into play and shut him down before he ever really gets going. So now that I see he's got a fairly good hand, I'm going to have to think about how to go about this. So I have a Collector on the first turn, and I just take a look to see what's prized, and I don't see anything major prized. So I grab 2 Oddishes for sure. The third Pokemon is going to be what I'm going to question about, and I decide to go with another Phanpy, apparently. I don't think that makes too big of a difference. Now, one of the ways I'm going to beat him is the Vileplume Trainer Lock right off the bat, but I think more importantly, I'm going to have to put pressure on immediately. You know, I just have to hit my opponent before he sets up, maybe. Get a quick Donphan, start taking some prizes, and if I can get him on the back foot before he sets up, that'll be my one chance to win. So I actually hesitate. I could have attached Rainbow to Phanpy and used Flail, but I hesitate because he didn't play that Cleffa that last turn, so I'm expecting some sort of insane start, like a Rare Candy into Emboar, like you're seeing here, and then a Blue Flare, but looks like you just had a Rare Candy, Emboar, Magneton, Switch, and Cleffa, so Phanpy's safe, but I didn't really lose anything by not doing the 10 damage. The energy attachment wasn't too important there, so we're going to see him Eek, and he wakes up. Now, I have a very strange decision here. First of all, I share him for 3 cards, hoping to draw another Communication or something like that, but as we see here, I have a choice to make right away. Do I want a Communication for Vileplume, Rare Candy into Vileplume, and shut down trainers, allowing him to Eek again, possibly just getting set up anyway? Or do I just go for Donphan and put pressure on immediately, trying to, you know, set him on the back foot, take some prizes while I can, and hopefully overpower him? So I decided to go with Donphan, simply because he Rare Candied out an Emboar already. He's got that Magneton. So trainers aren't going to be very important this turn for him. There's not a whole lot he can play besides Communication. That would really be the only trainer he could play. If he had just basics on the field, I would go for the Vileplume in a heartbeat. just because it would prevent him from playing Rare Candy. But in this situation, I decided to just go for a Donphan, try to bludgeon my opponent before he gets anything going, and hopefully he didn't draw too good of a hand off the Eek, and if that's the case, I'll be in fine shape. But if my opponent drew something great off the Eek, if he has a way to knock out Donphan somehow, I'm going to be in a world of hurt. I'm going to be way behind, and I'm going to be scratching my head on how exactly to win this game. So he sends up Reshiram, which makes me believe maybe the hand's not too strong. I actually don't mind seeing Reshiram here. It doesn't knock out Donphan in one hit, and I think my game plan here is going to be trying to run him out of energy. All of his attacks come down to having a lot of energy. Blue Flare, you discard 2 energy. Lost Burn for Magnezone, you have to Lost Stone all the energy to knock something out. The Rayquaza and Deoxys Legend he shuffled in. That takes 3 energy to discard, so they're all very, very high energy intensive attacks that he could run out of energy eventually. And if I get Vileplume into play, most Magnezone decks run energy retrieval. They run some Fisherman, some energy retrieval. The counts vary from person to person, but for the most part what I've seen is maybe 1, 2 Fishermen, and mainly relying on energy retrieval because you can junk arm for it. So just being able to shut that off is going to be a big boon for me, because that'll make it a possibility for me to run him out of energy eventually. And that's going to have to be my goal this game. If I can't make him run out of energy, I'm probably going to lose the game. I just can't compete with his attackers. I can't go blow for blow. My deck's not designed to do that. I can't do that. So I'm going to have to play a very technical game, try to wear him down, hope that he runs out of energy eventually, and take any opportunity I can to sneak out a win here. So my opponent thinks a while and plays a Junk Arm, discarding 2 fires, which is kind of interesting, and then gets a switch. So we might see my Donphan get knocked out here. So we'll have switch, go for Magnezone, then I guess my opponent's going to Magnetic Draw, puts a Lightning down first. Now this is pretty risky. I guess they only need 1 more fire, but if they don't get a fire, this Magnezone's going to take a hit. Also, if I evolve the Vileplume next turn, it's going to be stuck there. It's got a 3 retreat cost. He can either pay to retreat, or the other option is to keep using Lost Burn every turn, and if that's the case, my opponent's definitely going to run out of energy. You can't use Lost Burn for 6 prizes in a game, especially when you have to Lost Burn 2, 3 energy every time against Donphans and Reshirams and Zekrams. It's not going to work. You're going to run out of energy eventually. It's just not feasible, especially if I end up knocking out one of those Magnezones. So I don't think this is a great plan if he decides to keep using Magnezone, but we can see here he just dumped down a lot of energy. He got 3 off of the Magnetic Draw, so it looks like he'll be able to Lost Burn me no problem, and there'll be no real fear of a threat from my side next turn. I can't knock him out. All I have is a Phanpy. I have no energy on my board. I have a Duosion, a Gloom, an Oddish, and a Phanpy. I don't run plus power or anything like that, so I couldn't get a Donphan to knock him out. And even if I could, my other Donphan is prized, so I'm going to be in some trouble. So right now I'm going to promote the Oddish, then I Sharon for 3, and I draw some perfect cards, pretty much. Put down the Zekrom, because that's going to be a Pokemon I'm going to have to push in the active spot eventually. He's got a high hit points, so can take a hit or even force my opponent to Lost Zone a bunch of energy. Then I'll play a Communication, and I see both Vileplumes are in my deck, so what I'm going to do is Rare Candy my active Oddish into a Vileplume, get the Trainer Lock for this turn, and maybe try to trick him into Lost Burning more energy this turn. If he has to Lost Burn 3 more, I'm going to feel pretty good about my situation. And I have a Twins for another Vileplume next turn, so I'm perfectly fine doing this. I think this was the right thing to do, and I'm just, at this point in the game, you know, 3-4 turns into the game, I'm completely committed to my plan to make him run out of energy. That's the only way I'm going to win this game. I'm not going to win by, you know, overpowering his attackers. I'm not going to get in a prize trade with him. That's not going to work. I have to run him out of his most important resource, which is energy, and I don't think it's very possible, but I'm going to try. I don't think there's any other way I can win the game, so, you know, I'm just looking for a way out, and that's what I decided would be my best way to win the game. So, right now, he probably sees the situation, sees there's a Vileplume active. He probably realizes, oh, I can't keep affording to Lost Burn all my energy. I'm gonna run out. So, he's probably trying to think of something. Also, if he would pass here, I'm also fine with that, because, you know, that buys me some time to set my stuff up. I don't really care. My board position isn't too great right now, so I'm going to have to wait a while before I get anything going. So, what we see is, he attaches to the Magnezone, he retreats for 3 energy, which is very costly, but what I assume here is that he plays some sort of way to get the energy back in a supporter form, which would be Fisherman. And what do you know? There's a Fisherman. Now, this kind of scares me, but I don't think too many people run multiples of this card in a Magnezone deck. You know, at most, we're probably going to see 2, but if he runs 3, I'm probably going to lose the game. He'll have enough energy to plow through all my stuff. If he has 3 Fishermen in his deck, he'll be able to recycle through the energy enough times to win the game. But that's going to be the big question. How many Fishermen does he run? How many ways to get energy back does he actually run? Does he run Flower Shop Lady? Does he run any supporter-based way to get the energy out of his discard pile? There's no way to get him out of the Lost Zone. There's already 3 in the Lost Zone, so how's my opponent going to respond? This is going to be a very long, drawn-out game where I'm clearly at the disadvantage. I'm the one who has to kind of force the game to go into a weird state where I'm going to be able to win. So, right now I play a Twins. I'm going to grab that Vileplume, obviously. I need to keep up this Trainer Lock, and I grab another Twins, just so I can use it again next turn. I'm in no hurry to really do anything this turn. Just going to Outrage for 20. Next turn I can Twins for Reuniclus. You know, I'm just going to try to soften up this Reshiram. I'm going to try to lure him into blue flaring and discarding more energy. That would be a pretty big mistake on his part, I think. So I'm trying to draw him into that trap. And we'll see what he does, because this is a very strange situation from both sides. It's going to take a lot of thinking, a lot of planning ahead, and it's kind of like a chess match at this point. You know, once you take the trainer cards out of the situation, the game becomes a lot more predictable. You know, you don't know if your opponent can play all sorts of weird stuff like Pokemon Catcher or Plus Power, if they have access to trainers. But here, the options are clearly limited to supporters and energy only. I mean, well, Pokemon too, obviously, but you know you're not going to see anything like a rare candy. You're not going to see any plus powers. You're not going to see energy retrieval. You're not going to see something wacky like a Lost Remover. Stuff you don't have to worry about any of this stuff anymore because Vileplume's in play. Some of the weird cards you would have to look out for supporters would be Flower Shop Lady, a Fisherman, which he's already played, maybe a Black Belt at some point, but he's winning the game, so that's not much of an issue. You know, I can't really think of any other supporters that would make a difference. So, maybe Judge, that can mess with my hand size, but that's about it. And as for stadium cards, well, he could run Burn Tower, that would help him out a lot. But most people don't run that, so we'll see what happens. The one thing I like about Vileplume, though, is it makes the game very predictable. You can start to kind of narrow down what your opponent can do, and it really gives you control of the game, and it slows the game down a lot. That's something I really like about Vileplume. It's tough to get it into play, but once you do, it really slows the game down, makes both people think, and turns the game into more of a methodical approach instead of just catcher, 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 prize, prize, prize over and over. So, alright, this turn I'm going to twins for Reuniclus, and probably another twins, just so I can move the damage off my Zekrom. Another option I could do is just grab Reuniclus, and then the other half of the Kyogre Groudon Legend, so I can start powering that up. I think that's going to be my only real attacker left. My plan's going to be try to get him in a spot where he starts running out of energy, and then when he does, I'm going to have to use, well, I guess I didn't really describe this part of the deck, but this is not a normal Reuniclus Vileplume deck like the one Ross Coffin used. This one's a little different. It uses Kyogre Groudon Legend. It's sort of a little more fun to use it, but it's a little bit more of a variable. You know, it gives you another way to win. You can deck out your opponent or eliminate his bench, and the only real cost it gives you is 10 less hit points. So it was just something we were trying out. I got the idea from seeing a Gaziaskar. We kind of worked on it together. So this is just a deck I'm running. It's very similar to Ross's deck, just that minor difference of running the different legends. So not a big deal, but see, it might come into play. The big difference it does have, a disadvantage, is that it does have 10 less hit points, so it can be knocked out by Rayquaza Deoxys Legend. Now, why is that a problem? Well, if I can knock out this Magnezone, and he can't get another one into play, I would instantly win the game if I had the Suicune Entei Legend, because it has 160 hit points, you know? There's nothing left for him that can knock me out. He's already evolved through Magneton. Most decks don't play 2 Magnetons, so I would just win because I would keep moving the damage off of my Suicune Entei Legend, and I'd eventually win. But, you know, this deck's a little different, so just another obstacle I have to deal with. Now, we see he used Lost Burn again, Lost owning 3 more energy, knocking out this Zekrom I had, and at this point I see, wow, 2 Fishermen are gone. I can't imagine he would play a third one, but there's still a threat that he might. However, he's lost zone 6 energy at this point. There's another Lightning in the discard, so that's 7 gone. Most people play maybe 3, 4 Lightning in their Emboar, maybe 5 in a rare situation. But I'm feeling pretty good at this point that he might run out of energy. So right now I'm gonna twins for Reshiram, just another guy to soak up damage, and the Kyogre Groudon Legend. Now, I think if I'm going to win this game, it's going to be actually decking him out with Mega Tidal Wave. He's going to run out of energy maybe, and I'm just going to sit there, you know, and just discard the top 5 cards of his deck. And this will also give me the best chance to win because I'll be able to maybe discard his last Fisherman if there's another one in there, or discard some remaining energy if they're in there. So this is really going to be my best chance to win, I think. And right now I'm just moving some damage around. It's pretty obnoxious to move damage around using Reuniclus on the trading card game online, but that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just moving some excess damage up to Phanpy. Still going to take him 2 energy to Lost Burn, knock out the Phanpy because of his resistance. But, you know, if he's... might as well just move some damage up there, get it off my field if he's going to knock me out. So I decided to do that. The other Donphan's prized, and right here I see something that makes my heart skip a beat. Puts down the Rayquaza Deoxys Legend. Now, part of my plan was maybe I can knock out this Magnezone, and then he won't draw into that, and then I can win anyway. But now you can see he was already in his hand, he puts it down, and now I'm thinking, wow, how do I win this game? If he has enough energy, I'm just going to get destroyed this game. So, we see there's 6 in the Lost Zone, 1 in the discard. What's left for me? What do I do? So, plays an Interviewer's Questions, gets a Fire. It's an interesting card in that deck. Sometimes it's tough for Magnezone to get you all the energy you need. So he plays Interviewer's Questions. You know, sometimes your hand gets clogged, you can't really draw enough energy with Magnetic Draw. And so that's just a nice way to get some more energy out of your deck. So we see he only gets 1 Fire. Now he's going to need Lightning to attack with Magnezone. He doesn't want to burn 3 to retreat again. So what's he going to do? Basically, at this point, I'm just trying to buy time, trying to get him to burn as much energy as possible so I can charge up my attackers and eventually get up that Kyogre Groudon Legend, run him out of energy so he can't use Ozone Buster or Lost Burn, and then just eventually win the game because he can't knock out the Kyogre Groudon Legend, and eventually I'll run him out of cards. That's going to be my object of this game. So I play a copycat. Looks like I got 7 cards here, and I'm just trying to draw more energy. I'm fortunate enough to draw into 4 energy. This is going to mean I'm going to be able to power up the KGL for the rest of the game, and you know, if he runs out of energy, I'll be able to win just fine. So let's see, I decided to put a rainbow on him, and I'm just preparing for later. Now, another thing I could have been doing here is actually hitting him with Flail from Phanpy. Magnezone is weak to fighting. It only takes 1 energy to Flail, but I decided it was more of a priority to get energy into play on the KGL, setting up for the later game. So, if I powered that up, I could knock out the Magnezone using its second attack, Massive Eruption. And if I get 1 fighting off the top of my deck, or 1 energy off the top of my deck, excuse me, it would do 200 damage, knock out the Magnezone, and I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. You know, that's it. So, as we see here, he puts 2 fire into play with Inferno Fandango. I have to actually question why my opponent put both of those fire on his active. You know, you only need 1 fire. You need 1 fire, 1 lightning to Lost Burn. Why not attach that fire to another bench Pokemon? There's no guarantee you'll get the lightning energy to Lost Burn, so why take that risk? So, we'll see. He did play an Oak's New Theory. If he got a lightning, he'll be able to just Lost Burn me, no problem. And then I'll keep my mouth shut, because, you know, it didn't make a difference. But it can definitely make a difference losing that 1 energy, because this is a game that's going to come down to a lot of minor details, like a single energy making the difference. I really believe that 1 energy can make the final difference in this game, because you have such high energy costs on all your Pokemon, you might be 1 short and just lose the game. So, here, he doesn't have the lightning, and he passes. Wow. So, this is going to give me an opening. You know, I can use Flail this turn, maybe hit him for 60. I don't want to hit him for more than that, because then it would take less for him to use Lost Burn to knock me out. So I'm actually just going to use Flail here for 60, I think, because I can knock out, or I could power up the KGL just with a double colorless. So here we have a Flail for a knockout, or I wish it was for a knockout, but it was only for 60 damage. This is going to set me up for the next turn. If he doesn't have a lightning energy, he'll have to Flail, or I'll have to Flail him for another knockout. And then if he doesn't have the lightning, you know, he can't knock me out. That Magnezone's stuck. If he had another fire, he could retreat, but then there's 3 more energies burned for no reason. And it's just going to be, you know, a battle of like, how many resources he has remaining. So at this point, I can see my opponent's really struggling because of the trainer lock. Vileplume puts a hurting on any deck that relies on trainers, and we can see here, he hasn't been able to play too many cards out of his hand. It's hurt his magnetic draw a lot. He hasn't been able to use Magnezone because he's had maybe 4 or 5 cards that he just couldn't play from his hand. You know, he couldn't get rid of them, so he couldn't draw more cards out of his deck from magnetic draw. He does play another Oak's New Theory, so I'm scared he could get a lightning. If he does, I'm going to be knocked out, but there's no lightning. So, I'll take this opportunity, attach to the KGL again. We'll move 10 up to the Phanpy, and Hero Phanpy is going to be able to knock out this big bad Magnezone that has 2 fire on it. So, I'm just going to play a Collector to thin out my deck. You know, just take some cards out so I can draw more useful stuff like the remaining energy in my deck. And then I'm going to go ahead and I just go ahead and check. I was thinking I could just Flail for 80 and then I wouldn't get knocked out by an Outrage. But I forgot there was that Reshiram that has damage on it already, so no tricky play where I could flail and still avoid a knockout from an outrage. You know, I'm going to be knocked out if he's got the 2 energy for it. So right now we see 6 energy in the lost zone, 3 in the discard, that's 9, 1 on the RDL, that's 10. Now most decks run maybe 12, 13, 14 is kind of high for energy in this kind of a deck. But right now we see 10 are gone and 2 fishermen are gone. See, most decks run like maybe 12 or 13 energy and then cards to get them back, like fisherman, energy retrieval. And I've taken away the energy retrieval. I've taken away the junk arm. He's played 2 of the fishermen already. So he puts a fire on the Reshiram, realizing he can't ozone buster me twice because he's going to run out of energy. And then he's just going to lose if he runs out of energy. So he realizes he can't use the RDL twice. He's got to use something smaller. He's got to use that Reshiram. So here I have a decision to make. Do I want to just flail Cleffa for a knockout? You know, I don't want Cleffa to keep sitting there and allow him to keep cycling through his deck. Maybe he'll draw into whatever he's looking for. Maybe he'll keep drawing into energy, and that's not something I want. So I want to knock out this Cleffa. He's got no Magnezone in play anymore. He's played a lot of supporters, so you know, I just want to make sure I give him the worst odds possible to win the game. You know, draw into his energy, draw into his fisherman if there's another one in there. And you see I almost make a mistake here. I had 20 on the Phanpy, and I wanted to flail for a knockout. And I actually saved myself because I started thinking twice about if I wanted to actually flail, and then I realized, oh, I only have 20 on there. So I need to have 30 on the Phanpy in order to flail for the knockout. So here I just decided to move a bunch of damage to Reshiram. No real reason for that, I guess. Just anticipating I might need to outrage for a knockout, so I just did it in advance. And then I flail for 30, so this Phanpy is a real hero. He's got 2 knockouts at this point. Probably the MVP for the game. And my opponent shoves up the Reshiram. Interviewers for a fire. And, you know, I'm just going to count his energy again. Look, there's 2 on the active, 1 on the RDL, that's 3, 6 in the lost zone, that's 9, a 3 in the discard, that's 12. 12 energy are gone. Is he going to be able to power up that RDL for the final Ozone Buster knockout? Or is he going to run out of energy? Is he out already? At this point, you know, I'm nervous. I could just lose to a fisherman. I could lose to a bunch of energy. But you know what? This is where I have to make my final stand. So, I just push up the KGL because it doesn't matter if that gets knocked out or something else gets knocked out by Ozone Buster. There's nothing else that can really knock out KGL. So, there's no Magnezone in play. I don't have to worry about surrendering these 2 prizes here. So, just decided to Mega Tidal Wave, discard his top 5. And we see I hit the lightning energy. Now this could be very interesting. You see 3 are in the lost zone and now 2 are in the discard. So he could be out of lightning energy. Maybe that discard changed the game completely. Maybe it made it so he can't use Ozone Buster. You know, discarding 5 cards from your opponent's deck when they're under a trainer lock can be absolutely devastating. You know, it can take away an option that maybe could have won them the game. So we'll see if that's actually the case. And my opponent actually just outrages me for 60. Now at this point I'm feeling very good. I actually benched down another KGL. I don't know, there's no real reason, but it soaks up a lot of damage, so I just put him down there. And you know, he only hit me for 60. Now that gets me excited because I thought I was pretty much dead in this game. You know, he had a turn 2 Emboar, turn 3 Magnezone. My deck's not very good against his in the first place. But now I'm in a situation where maybe he just ran out of energy. Maybe he lost burn too many. Maybe he played his fisherman's too early. Maybe he was too careless. And I discard his top 5 again. And there's an energy retrieval and a junk arm. And there's only 3 cards left in his deck. So, what's that mean? That means he's got 1 turn to win the game. all of a sudden, I'm in the driver's seat. Does my opponent have a fisherman? Does he have a way to power up that RDL for the win? No, he plays a collector. He looks through his deck, and there's just a Tepig, and then I'm thinking, wait, did I just win this game? It was looking pretty bleak. My opponent did 150 to my Donphan on the third turn of the game. My other Donphan was prized. I'm facing a fully set up Magnezone on the third turn with a deck that's not supposed to beat Magnezone. What happened? Well, I just hoped for the best, and here we go. Another Mega Tidal Wave, and his deck is gone. I won the game. He decked out. So, as you can see, I had a game plan going into it. Most game plans are just, trade prizes, attack back and forth, or maybe you have other strategies like spread damage everywhere, so other stuff like this, which is lock your opponent so they can't knock you out in one hit, and then keep moving damage back with Reuniclus. But here my game plan was to make them run out of energy, and it actually worked. So, as you can see, there's always alternative ways to win games. You just have to look for it. They don't always work out, but sometimes you just have to think about it, go with what you think is the best route, and just kind of go with your instincts. I felt like I wouldn't be able to win a prize race with him, and I think I was right. So I went for a long-term game where I would run him out of energy. And, maybe if he would have realized that sooner, he would have changed his play a little bit. Maybe not been as careless with his energy. I don't know what he would have done too differently, but, maybe he didn't realize what was going on, and then it got to a point where he was like, oh, I'm out of energy. So, just a lesson to think out your moves. Always pay attention to the little things, and maybe you win a game that you maybe shouldn't have. So, that was this game. I thought it was pretty exciting, pretty close, and a little bit of a comeback from my side. So, thanks for watching. If you guys have any feedback, please leave them down in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Let me know how I can improve, what to do differently, and also please check out our live stream that's happening every night, usually around 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern Time, somewhere around there, 9, 10, 11. I usually go for a few hours, always playing games. I commentate on them as I go. So please check that out. I've had a lot of viewership in that, so I'm thankful for that so far. And if you like what we're doing, tell your friends about us. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.